My name is Camp David. I am a resident of Changamwe. I've been around for some time. I'm a businessman. I'm a family man. I'm married. I have a wife and 3 children. And I think, and I'm a philanthropist. I have been supporting the community. I've been involved in sponsorship programs for a long time. Together with friends, we've been able to educate very many children.
Right.
Yeah.
Through the foundation?
Through the foundation.
I quite know it also.
Yes, yes.
Very well. And we'll be talking more concerning that as we get during the part at which we'll be discussing issues of Changamwe.
Yes.
But I want to start it off here from the national level. And over the weekend, you can agree with me, there's quite a lot that was happening in relation to our politics.
Yes.
And we saw a number of political parties having their National Delegates Congress. And without going into the specifics, we'll be coming to the specifics, but in a nutshell,
yes.
In general,
yes.
It's a time and a season of conventions.
Yes.
What does it mean?
That, I think it means what we are seeing now is parties mobilizing and mobilizing into coalitions and finding bearing as they prepare for the coming general elections. Mm-hmm. I think that is the one thing that is coming across, and I think it also reminds us of who we are as a country in terms of our politics. I think our politics, we've not found a way of making sure that our parties stand for something. Mm-hmm. And that is why during the elections time, around this time, there's a lot of mobilization. People are trying to come together. And I think if we had parties that stand for something, I think the mobilization around the conventions you are seeing would not be as much. Mm-hmm. That would not be happening now. But because our parties don't stand for anything, a lot of our parties don't stand for anything. Right. That's why it's very easy to put together, cobble up a coalition of like 20 parties without them asking what their fellows stand for. Right. So, yeah.
And looking at the way we conducted some political parties, the way they are conducting these, their conventions.
Yes.
It sounds to us like it's something new. Just recently we see, we see a political parties, for instance, let's say Jubilee Party having its Delegates Congress. Yes. And we see other party leaders of different parties also coming on board.
Yes.
And we are like, is this, something obvious? And we, those who are part and parcel of Kenyans who are being expected to be members of these political parties, yes. fail to understand are these conventions keenly talking about issues of the party, or they're just there for the sake of being there?
I think you're very right. I'll give you the example of Jubilee Party, the ruling party. And I think you've seen their members have complained right from 2017 election, right, that they've not been having their party conventions. Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing the conventions happening. And the question is, who are representing those parties? How were they picked? The people that are seated in those conventions, the 4,000 delegates, how did they come about? Because that party has never had any party elections. And I think their members have been complaining about those meetings that will lead up to party elections and them picking delegates who will represent them. So that raises a lot of questions around the stability of these parties and whether really these parties exist in form. Especially after the breakup of Jubilee, where we have now UDA as an entity that emanated from Jubilee. I think it's right to ask, then how were these delegates that represents Jubilee picked? Right. Who picked them? I'm a resident of Changamwe myself. I have interacted with politics for a while. I know there's a lot of complaint around who has been identified as a delegate and by who, and they represent to. And I think that replicates in the other outfits, parties. So it points to lack of proper formations as parties, and the ethics around how parties are formed. And so this will mean we're going to see other formations during the run-up to the next general elections.
Right.
Yes.
And talking from whatever you're saying here, Mr. Camp,
yes.
do you feel like it's high time for we Kenyans to start and view these political parties differently? And we say it's not time to look at which party the person belongs to.
Yes.
We should now, evaluate a person as him or herself.
That should have been the case right from the word go. I think it is very wrong for us, realizing that the parties don't stand for anything, to still seek to elect a person because they belong to a party. I think we should, as Kenyans, we should start now looking at the people we are electing. What do they stand for? Who are they? What have they done? What are their aspirations for the communities they represent, for the constituencies they represent? I think that is very important. And I think I'm seeing that happening, that people are now saying, we are not going to elect you because you belong to a big party or to a small party.
Right.
We are going to elect you because we think you can deliver our expectations.
Right.
Yes.
And that should have been the case.
That should have been the case.
We are even that.
Yeah, yes, but the realization is happening now. The realization is happening, I think, from the previous elections. I think Kenyans are realizing by electing you simply because you belong to a party does not give them any benefit.
Right.
I think they are now thinking we should be electing somebody because they are able to deliver services to Kenyans.
Right. Good.
Yes.
And now that you've mentioned about the Jubilee Party Delegates Congress, I think we should internalize it a little bit before we get to the others.
Yes.
And what was happening there, was it obvious to you that, and did it meet your expectation, for instance?
Not really, because I watched the whole scenario as it unfolded, and the visitors coming in.
You called it a scenario.
It actually was a scenario, because you see what you expect in a delegates conference like the convention that was happening is matters of that party being dealt with deeply, issues raised, and people given opportunities to respond to those issues, and people participating in a well set up forum. This looked like a rushed up program. The delegates were there, but the program was about Azimio and what everything was going. I think the people that watched the Jubilee Convention happen, I think a lot was left desired.
Right.
Because even the list, you had the list of leaders being mentioned very quickly. The leaders that who was going to be the new Secretary General, who was going to be the chairman, who was going to be this, and things were really being rushed because the agenda was not really, according to me, about Jubilee Party. I think the agenda was about Azimio and the new formation that is coming. And this was the only opportunity these delegates had to talk about the matters party. So there was very little that happened that talked about Jubilee as it were. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, are you telling me, on the headlines,
Yes.
here 4,000 Jubilee delegates, for instance, let's say that was an headline on a certain newspaper, that 4,000 Jubilee delegates endorsed Raila Odinga for presidency.
Yes.
Is it the voice of the 4,000 delegates, or they were just somebody else is masquerading, using the numbers of the 4,000 but propelling that he supports, for instance, the party leader now supports the Azimio, and that should be the route at which everyone goes?
Yes, I think even the headline was suspicious. Those delegates are always 4,000. If Wiper during that delegates conference they had 4,000. Yes. So why was the emphasis on the 4,000 Jubilee supporting Raila's candidature? I think it's because that is the direction the leaders of Jubilee want everybody else who is Jubilee to believe. that they are moving. But like I've said, there was very little consultation that happened. There was very little activity, Jubilee activity that happened from what was presented to Kenyans.
Right.
And so I think everything will be clear as we move forward. These parties, like I'd said, are mobilizing now members around the formations they want to take during the 2022 general election.
Right.
And that is expected. But on the point of whether those people who sat there as Jubilee delegates are supporting Raila Odinga, I think we leave it to, we will know within a short time.
Right.
Yes.
And also, it was said, and we had the president mentioning,
Yes.
that those who think Jubilee Party was dead, they should come to the reality that Jubilee Party is here to stay.
Yes.
And in fact, it has taken up government since 2017, it has stirred up. And he says that Jubilee Party is going to be even stronger, more stronger than before. Is it something that you can agree to, and do you see a likelihood of it?
I think that's the position of the president as the party leader of Jubilee. But I think it's also suspicious that he's taking up a lot of activities within the party at the tail end of his term, of his second term.
Right.
There's there's so much to read from the statements that he made. But what is important is how much can he do with Jubilee?
Right.
I mean, knowing that, you realize there was NAC, NAC, which formed the 2002 government.
Right.
What is left of NAC is, anybody knows, if you live in Kenya.
Right.
What is left of NAC, we know. And then we came to PNU, and PNU formed the Kibaki government. You barely hear about PNU.
Right.
Why anybody thinks Jubilee is going to be anything after the 2022 general election? I think we need to wait and see. But as far as I am concerned, I think the party leadership of Jubilee let down their members by not allowing them to participate fully in the functions and activities of the party, including not allowing them to have party elections, and so that members can elect their leaders at the grassroots, and so they could have had a better conversation around matters party from the grassroots all the way to the top. I think what we've been seeing with Jubilee is at the top, there's been a lot of wrangling in the top. That down here in the wards, in the constituencies, in the counties, very little about Jubilee for a long time. You've not had a lot until UDA started. UDA was being formed. Then there was a bit of noise. But we know that the leadership, the membership of Jubilee have been making a lot of noise around them being allowed to have parliamentary group meetings and party elections for the party.
Right.
Yes.
Last but not least on Jubilee,
yes,
before we
exactly.
head up to another party here.
Yes.
There were changes into the officials of the party.
Yes.
And Deputy President William Ruto's name is missing.
Yes.
What do you make of that as well?
I think that was expected. I think that at this point, that was expected. The Deputy President is now a member of UDA. But these guys were kicked out long time ago. These people.
Does it have any effect on the position he holds?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Of course, Jubilee leadership may be having something at the back of their minds. If there is anything, we will see. We will see. Probably you're going to see a bit of that. But the next election is just around the corner. So they may not want to involve themselves with things that will end up in court. And
right.
so there might not be substantial activity around relating the fact that he has lost the party leadership, the deputy party leadership, and relating that to the deputy president position, which is what is significant in this matter.
Right.
Yes.
And also before the Jubilee NDC, there was also the ODM NDC that was happening.
Yes.
And what we drew out from that as well is how things were happening there at Kasarani.
Yes.
And Jimmy Wanjigi
Yes.
was the talk of town during
Yes.
that very same day.
Yes.
Having been chased out, so in a very not good so matter. And the question is, Mr. Camp, these ugly scenes that we are witnessing of how this pull and push, the wrangles within our political parties, how do we get to solve this whole issue? And do you think, like right now that we are headed into a general election, if we continue witnessing such scenes, we may end up into a wrong way, for instance?
One, I think it's going to take a while before we can have parties that stand for ideologies that we can relate with, like CCM of Tanzania, where they will even kick out in a procedural manner their leaders of the party. And because of what, like the example I've given of CCM, they've been able to produce the leadership of the country for quite some time now. And because they've taken care of the party and the membership of the party understands what the party stands for.
Right.
The problem here is it's taken a while. And I think there are a few things we need to do. Drawing from the scenarios we've seen. I would see Jimmy Wanjigi as a voice that we should be concerned with, as a voice that represents the ordinary Kenyans. Because if you are a member of a party, like Jimmy Wanjigi tells us is a member of ODM,
right,
then why would he be kicked out for anything that is not explained? I belong to a political party. That means if they can kick out Jimmy Wanjigi, so where do I stand? And these are the issues that we need to look at.
Right.
And when the parties are not properly managed, we end up having leaders who do things their way, which is going to keep us back for a while. But like I've said,
right,
I don't expect much change of the leadership of parties and parties standing up for ideologies anytime soon, because of the way our country is, our political system is in Kenya. We are tribal-based a country. Our politics are mobilized around tribes.
Right.
And so, like you hear, you need to belong to a party from your own community so that you can make an impact outside. And we've seen people who have defied that. And some of them, we've seen them struggle because they don't have backing from their communities.
Right.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes.
And then do you feel also that is reason enough why Mr. Tuju left Jubilee and joined ODM to vie for a political seat?
Yes, and I think that wasn't a very good for him. He was also a voice, whether somebody loved him or they hated him. Tuju belonging to Jubilee and Jubilee going into competition with ODM in the 2013-2017 election, that was a good thing.
Right.
And even Tuju being a Secretary General of Jubilee Party. But for him to move to ODM to contest for a seat is just confirming the obvious, that for you to make an impact in this country, then you must belong to your tribe party, which should not be the case.
Right.
But I want to say this. I want to also identify. I want also to say that ODM has tried to make inroads within other communities and other parties, and that is the way we should go. UDA is doing the same. UDA is also making inroads into other regions. And it may take time, but I think one time we're going to be there where we have parties that have representation across the country, and so that will force the system to be procedural when handling matters parties.
Right.
Yes.
Before we even take a short break here,
Yes.
just to wrap it up on the national level politics.
Yes.
We saw during, we see that the Azimio movement
Yes.
growing bolder.
Yes.
More parties are joining in.
Yes.
Should that in any way worry the Kenya Kwanza side?
Not really. I don't think we are seeing many people moving within Azimio. I think it is it's a party strategy. This is Azimio's way of doing things. Let me give an example. The 2017 election,
right,
we had two main parties, NASA and Jubilee. Within the Jubilee side, Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the party leader of Jubilee, is now seen to associate with NASA, with Raila Odinga, who was the leader of NASA. And Mudavadi was the party leader of ANC, and Moses Wetangula from Ford Kenya are seen now to associate with the deputy president on the Kenya Kwanza side. So there's a shifting of alliances on both sides. I think what has happened with Azimio, I think they've gone for smaller parties and strengthened them. I think recently you saw the NDC for NAC and Muungano. These are smaller outfits, and I'm not belittling them, but I think in terms of, we've not seen them do conventions in the past, and their leaders are not even contesting for president. But you see, they are mobilizing, and so you think these people being brought in.
Will this strategy, Mr. Camp, will this strategy of bringing on board smaller parties into Azimio work in their favor?
They need to work very hard for them first to hold. Because the more members you have within an outfit, the more challenges there are to keep them together to the end. That is one. Two, there will be a lot of suspicion within members, and I think you've seen that already happening. Look at this scenario. I think you've seen all the parties that are joining, including Wiper Democratic Movement, Kenya. I think you've seen them associate with Jubilee more than ODM. So what you are going to see, in my opinion, is a scenario where Jubilee has more parties within Jubilee, more smaller parties within Jubilee, to the extent that they can end up competing for strength with ODM. So what that means is, in the event Azimio wins, you may not be surprised if Jubilee Party will end up having more members of parliament than ODM. That is just a scenario. The second scenario is what becomes of Oka. Because already you saw the meeting yesterday where they said they want to be joined, they want to join themselves with, they want Moses, but they want Kuria to join them. But Kuria is giving a condition that then you can't join Azimio if I join you, because Azimio does not stand for what I stand for. So that's another scenario. And then the third scenario is when they end up picking whoever is going to deputize, whoever becomes the presidential candidate. During the Jubilee convention, Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, I think gave a hint of the direction. He said, if ODM, and when addressing Jubilee members, if ODM, Raila Odinga and Wiper, Kalonzo Musyoka showed us direction, we will follow. But if that is the scenario, there's so much again, because then we are not sure whether it is Raila that is going to be the president, is it Kalonzo is going to be the deputy, or is the deputy president going to be picked from Central Kenya? And if he's picked from Central Kenya, then what happens to Oka and their arithmetic? So there's so much that is left.
Right, very true. And also, out from these all happenings, there is this question that is quite, we've not gotten the answer yet. And from your own experience as a politician, where do you think Oka is left here? Which way for Oka for it?
Which way for Oka? I think it's quite a big question, because you see, we are not able to tell what they have in their mind. But I think, for me now, I think Oka is negotiating for the position of deputy president. And then what happens to their members within Oka? And I think Kalonzo Musyoka alluded to that when he said there are these other members, Karua, Martha Karua and others.
Cyrus Jirongo.
Yes, Cyrus Jirongo and others. So, and Gideon Moi. What happens to them? So they also need to be represented within Oka. So within Azimio, if they were to join Azimio. If they were to go their way, they've not given much indication of whether they could work with the deputy president. But if they were to go their way, they also need to look at what benefits they are going to get from, like one of them contesting for president, and probably going to force a runoff, and what is going to come out of that in the event that a runoff has been forced. But I think there's a lot of discussions going on, but clearly there's a lot of suspicion within the coalition building around Azimio. I think there's a lot of suspicion. When Kalonzo Musyoka tells the president to take charge of the formation of Azimio, is in essence saying,
not trust.
We are not very comfortable when it is Raila Odinga. Yes.
Right. Very true. But we will be trailing some of those happenings, and we will see how things are gonna pan out in relation to the formation of conventions. That is our topic of discussion today, this morning, together with Mr. Camp David, a politician quite with a vast experience of matters of politics here. We'll be coming back to talk more concerning also different races here in the coastal region. We'll be tackling a little bit concerning Mombasa, and we'll move downwards towards the constituency, that is the Changamwe constituency. We'll be talking more concerning that as well. Keep your comments coming in relation to that as well. We'll be sampling your views as we get along with the show. But right now, though, I want to take a quick breather. I'll be coming up in a moment. Don't go too far. Before we took a break here, we were discussing about One Kenya Alliance.
Yes.
And we had asked you which way for One Kenya Alliance, and you just told me we can't even tell. But there's this question that I have seen most people say, and most politicians also have had to add their input on, that Kalonzo Musyoka could be the kingmaker for this time round. How true is that, and is it possible?
Yes, I believe Kalonzo Musyoka is the kingmaker of 2022, but he needs to play his cards very well. He's being seen as being indecisive. He's not able to make decisions and stand by them.
Right.
This is the picture he's portraying. Yesterday, they said they were not going to be signing the agreement today. Because apparently they have had a meeting with Moses Kuria, who's just come back. And Moses Kuria's conditions is not supporting Azimio. And so they cannot be members of Azimio. They cannot sign an agreement with Azimio and expect Moses Kuria to join them. So the question is, who is more important to Oka? Is it them being members of part of Azimio, or is it them being joined by Moses Kuria? So these are the issues, and Kenyans are watching and wondering if, as an outfit, Oka is an outfit, a formation of more than 3 parties, have agreed that we're going to sign an agreement with Azimio.
Right.
And that is after the convention, the Jubilee convention, which the party leaders were in attendance. And I think the green light was given. And I think the agreement was done. And it was a matter of time before it is signed.
Right.
And in the last minute, then they're not going to sign because they have another member joining them who does not love or who does not like what Azimio stands for. And so they're not going to sign. That does not give a very good indication of Oka as an outfit to work with in the future. Yes.
And looking at how you're explaining it, and I'm getting another point here.
Yes.
A very substantive one. When you're talking about One Kenya Alliance,
yes,
and looking at the Kalonzo Musyoka's factor,
yes,
we see some bit of reluctancy by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka getting fully into Azimio,
yes,
and having to support Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And also he looks into what is my space within Azimio. And if you were to advise, for instance, and you saying that Kalonzo Musyoka is the kingmaker.
Yes.
At which side could he have, at which side is he better placed to be with, if I may put it that way?
I think he would rather work with Azimio. he has a fighting chance within Azimio. He could become the deputy president.
Don't you think he's late now?
No, it's not late because they realize what strength he has. He has behind him between 2 million to 2.5 million votes. So that's a substantial number of votes.
Right.
If you were to work out that arithmetic within Central, I think for you to get that number of votes coming through another outfit, it's very hard to find. So I think they are willing to work with Kalonzo Musyoka. I think you've seen there are the efforts are out there to get Kalonzo to trust them and to work with them. And he has, like I've said, he has a fighting chance. He has a possibility of becoming the deputy to Raila Odinga in the event there's a new.
And where does that leave Mount Kenya region now for?
Mount Kenya region, in my opinion, is represented by the person of the party leader of Jubilee, who is the president of the republic. And I think you saw, even in the way the party positions were given within Jubilee, the movement of the Secretary General from Tuju to the Daragwa MP, Kioni, and the like, I think the party has positioned itself to speak for the interests of the Central Kenya region, of course, and also other regions of the country. And I think, the party leader is Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of the republic also. And so he could be the person who will speak on behalf of Central Kenya going forward. So it is likely that then they will pick Kalonzo Musyoka to be the deputy of Raila Odinga. So the equation, the formation is going to be there. We're going to have ODM represented by Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, the Jubilee wing, which also is well representing Central Kenya, is represented by the President. And then Kalonzo represents the Oka movement represents Wiper, and by extension the Oka movement. So this scenario is the most likely one, which benefits Kalonzo.
Right.
Yes.
And do we foresee a situation, for instance, like having Kalonzo Musyoka, Gideon Moi, Cyrus Jirongo joining Azimio, whereas the others may choose to say, no, we are not headed there, and let's do away with this Oka thing?
There are no others. I think those are the Oka. You're saying the membership.
Right.
Like I know there's quite some discontent within the community around Kalonzo Musyoka. I think they had made their mind. Even Kalonzo himself had said he's not going to support Raila Odinga again.
In fact, he said I'll be the stupidest person to ever support Raila Odinga for the third time.
And I think his followers picked that one up with the seriousness that it deserved. So they did not expect him. But I think they're coming to terms with the realities as things unfold. And you see, there's so much that has already happened. The Political Parties Act, which makes some requirements of political parties and alliances formation, and also the realities around the silent William Ruto, and is the one Kenya alliance also. I think so. Both Kalonzo Musyoka and his followers have this reality at the back of their minds that they need to quickly come to terms with that. But to answer your question very direct, it is expected that Kalonzo is going to lose a bit of support by going to Azimio.
Right.
Yes, but it is in Azimio where he stands the best chance of representing the country.
Very well.
Yes.
Deputy President William Ruto, while in his tour in Ukambani area, also extended a hand and said and told people, go and tell Kalonzo to come, let's work together.
Yes.
Can that even be the case? You know, he began talking like that with the side of Western until when we saw Mudavadi coming in. Could it be a repeat of the same again?
These are politicians. And sometimes really knowing what they are saying can be very hard. But I know there's been intentions of Kalonzo and William Ruto working together. But I think on the part of Kalonzo Musyoka, he does not see himself working with William Ruto. And I think he's made that statement many times.
Many times.
And I even think when the deputy president is inviting Kalonzo Musyoka to work with him, he understands this reality. But I think he's making that as he reaches out to the community.
Right.
For me, I would say it is more, that statement is made for the community more than really to the person of Kalonzo Musyoka.
Right.
Yes.
Of course. Now, I want us to shift gears and talk a little bit concerning Mombasa County. And also, stakes are high here in Mombasa County, particularly on different positions. And we want to begin by looking at the gubernatorial race that is likely to be one of the most hottest contested ever. And currently, Mr. Camp, what do you make about the different candidates who have come on board to try and take the position of governor here? Do you see like we have potential leaders that can make it to the level of being governor?
Of course, yes. Of course, people produce their likes to be leaders. I mean, you can't import somebody from outside Mombasa to be the governor of Mombasa. It's just one of us.
We've seen people, the likes of Kidero, moving from Nairobi all the way to Homa Bay.
And there are challenges related to that. If you make that move,
Right.
then probably need to do so much to be part of that community. It's always good if people are going to work within the areas where they've resided for a while.
Good.
Yeah, because then they understand the challenges of those regions or those areas they're working in. Mombasa is Mombasa's leaders. I can tell you, the people that have presented their candidature for governor, in my opinion, are well able.
Right.
It's a question of which person people are going to trust to work for them.
Right.
And of course, you know, there are parties, and different parties are pushing for their leader.
Right.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, deliberately.
Yes.
Do you think the contest has already been reduced to a two-horse race between Shahabal and Abdul Swamad?
Not really. Not really. There's a bit of time. Within ODM, yes, those are the two fellows. But there's a candidate in UDA, Sarai.
People saying he is a weak candidate.
Is that what?
Weak candidate,
So
based on the grassroots level, the way he has interacted, and how vocal he is also, you know.
I don't want to say myself. I don't see him as being a weak candidate. I see him as being a strategic candidate. It's time will tell where he moves. I see him as being very strategic as a candidate. And then the Alim Bogo, the current MP of Kisauni.
Right.
And then there's another one. These are all potential candidates. Because of the nature of ODM having produced the governor, the sitting governor, you expect the stakes are a little bit higher within ODM, within the person they will eventually pick as ODM. But I think other candidates have equal chance, because then they are going to be elected by followers, and I expect that people are going to vote across parties. People are not going to vote for a candidate because they only belong to their parties. People are going to vote across the parties. I think it depends on how somebody sells their agenda and how they interact and how people see them. Yeah, in terms of whether they are able to work for the people. Yes.
Just recently, during the Tononoka rally for the Azimio,
Yes.
there are some quite of scenes being witnessed there where it was not taken up so lightly with the supporters of Abdul Swamad Nasir, and they even began talking and, calling off Junaid Mohammed for some of the few things that happened there. And do you feel like from whatever we saw, there could be indications that within the ODM party and the issues of nominations, we could kind of had quite a tight race?
I don't think it's a tight race, really. I think one, that scenario was unfortunate. That should not be associated with the leaders that we saw. That was a very unfortunate situation. And two, I think those leaders should respect the people of Mombasa. whatever happened had nothing to do with the people of Mombasa.
Right.
The people of Mombasa and ODM followers within Mombasa have been a decent group.
Right.
I can tell you that. They have their way of going about meetings, but it's never come to that. I think I would ask the Junet Mohammed to respect, to show some respect for, and others who got themselves involved with this.
Right.
We understand where it is coming from. I think they want to force somebody on the people of Mombasa. That will be very wrong, because it is fair that the people of Mombasa choose their own leader. And these discussions that are going on, these discussions are good for us. These discussions will help Kenyans, Mombasa people to identify which leader they want to be their governor.
Right.
It is very wrong when people come from outside Mombasa and use their financial strength or otherwise strength within party to appear to push an agenda within this place. We are going to elect our governor, and we don't need their advice. We don't need Junet's advice and his company about what the person we want for governor. And I will tell you here, I believe in a community that does not identify people through parties or tribes. I am one person who stands for inclusivity around interactions with people. I don't belong to ODM myself.
Right.
But it is wrong when somebody appears to force an agenda, because they may be fighting the very person that may end up being the governor of Mombasa, or they may be forcing on us a wrong person.
Right.
Yes.
Very well.
Yes.
And this question now, Mr. Akamp, looking at some of these contestants, most of them, we do not see, there is no one from Changamwe, no one from Jomvu wanting to become governor, and we are wondering here in Changamwe, what's not happening? Don't we have candidates who can stand up and say, I'm from Changamwe, yes, but I want to be governor?
Yeah, it's fair if every region would have produced, every constituency would have produced a candidate, but I think it's not practical, because so much is expected of the candidate, of the person that would even want to contest to be a governor. A good understanding of the area, some level of maturity around politics,
right.
And also some financial muscle. And the parties have to show an interest in the person. So I think whoever has said that they are able, I think we would rather work with them. Right. And like I've said, we already have enough of them. So we can pick from the ones that are already there.
Very well.
Yes.
And I did ask you that question simply because I heard from a meeting attended by the current Member of Parliament for Changamwe,
yes,
saying he wants to become, now in 2022, in August, he'll be contesting to retain his seat.
Yes.
Then come 2027, he may as well
go for that. Yes. Yes.
Right. And now we want to shift gears and come to where we are in Changamwe constituency.
Yes.
And that's where also you you're part and parcel of the people saying they want to become leaders here.
Yes.
Are you still on, and are you soldiering on, and how is it faring on your side?
Yes, I will be contesting for Member of Parliament for Changamwe. I think what is important is making sure that the people are peaceful. And whoever wants to contest for any seat, this is a free country.
Right.
You can go out there and talk to the people. It's times for politics now, and people are going about. You may not see some of us out there on top of lorries,
Right.
But we are down there with the community and engaging them. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And do you feel such a strategy of going at the grassroots levels and not on top of cars and top of trolleys, going around with, public address systems and making noise a lot? Do you feel like which one works best between the two strategies?
Both work. If you ignore one, you are down. You are most likely going to suffer some loss.
Right.
You must engage the people, what is popularly known as door to door. You talk to them and explain your policies. But then there's the other one where you have to talk to multitudes. And you may not have the financial muscle to have so many public meetings. So when you are on top of a lorry or a pickup and you're talking to the people as you drive by, that is also another way of saying what you need to say. So both are okay. You cannot do without one. And people tend to begin with going door to door, telling their neighbors that, you know what, I am contesting for this seat. I'm asking for your support. I will do this and this. Yeah, so this is what is currently happening.
Right.
Yes.
Of course. I want you, Mr. Camp, to look on that camera and tell the people of Changamwe why they should consider Mr. Camp to be their member of parliament.
Good morning, my fellow Changamwe countrymen. My name's Camp David. I am well known in this community. I have worked in this community. I believe in working for people and working together with people to achieve development within the region Changamwe constituency. I am asking you for your support. I'm asking you to consider me to be your next member of parliament because of changes that I intend to bring. One, I intend to make sure that education is at the topmost agenda of my leadership in Changamwe constituency as an MP together with you. Together with a team that we will put together that will represent the interest of everybody that lives here in Changamwe. Secondly, our peaceful coexistence is an important part of my plan as a leader of Changamwe constituency. Peace is the first and the most important thing to have people live together. The current member of parliament has done his part, and we congratulate him for bringing change that has affected our people in Changamwe. But I think it's time for him to take a break and allow young people to push forward the agenda of the Changamwe people. And here I am. I have worked with you. I have worked with a team that we have helped to bring sponsorship of over 5,000 children. And this is on record. Anyone can find out. We have sponsored more than 5,000 children, pupils in different schools, even into the universities. And this is something that for me is important because education is very important. Education brings a permanent change. And this is an area we will work on. We have challenges of water in Changamwe. This is another area we need to work very hard on. The companies around us have taken all our water. The many companies. Those companies are important because they bring employment opportunities to our people. But you see, we must share resources equally. They cannot take all the water and put it in their storage tanks. And Changamwe people are suffering and are using, we are buying water from, water that we don't understand where it comes from. So these are issues we are going to address. There's a lot of expansion of building of industries. And some of these industries, there's a lot of question around some of where these industries are being built. There's an extension there's a company that is being constructed around here. And people are just being pushed. And the question of compensation and fair compensation should be addressed. The number of people being employed. A lot of companies are here. KPA is our neighbor here. KenGen is our neighbor. The Kenya Airport Authority, Mombasa International Airport, is here. You know, many companies, but how many of our youths are being employed in those areas? And these are issues I'm going to address and firmly address, you know, because we must benefit from the opportunities that are here with us, and we must share resources equally and fairly.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much.